Repetitive motion injuries in the office environment are more prevalent today than ever. Back in the day of typewriters, employees had a lot more variation in their workday. They would insert paper, they would use the carriage return, they'd use whiteout to correct their errors. But here we are in the age of computers, and an employee might sit at their workstation for 8+ hours a day doing data entry. They then go home and use a lot of the same repetitive motions that they were using during the workday by using their personal computers, their iPhones, their gaming stations, their tablets. The use of repetitive wrist, finger, and hand movement is more prevalent now than ever. This isn't to say that repetitive motion injuries have to occur. Ergonomics is the key. Fitting the workstation to the employee is what we're trying to achieve. You need to adjust the mirrors, the steering wheel, and the seats when you get into a new car. And the same applies for your workstation. A typical workstation was designed for an employee between the height of 5'7" and 5'8". If you're shorter or taller than that, you're going to have to make some changes. When I'm evaluating a workstation, the first thing I look at is the chair. The chair is the most important part of the ergonomic equation. I look for a nice stable chair with adjustment capabilities both in the height and in the armrests. For the seated employee, I'm looking for 2 right angles. With the back supported, I'm looking from the hip to the knee to feet flat on the ground. For shorter employees, sometimes we'll need to use a footrest to achieve this posture. The second right angle that I'm looking for begins at the shoulders. I'm looking for nice neutral shoulder position, and then we go from shoulders, elbows to wrist. The elbows are close to the core, and this is the position for our keyboard. For some employees, we might require a pull-out keyboard and mouse tray to achieve this 90-degree angle. The placement of your keyboard tray should be aligned with your monitor and your chair. The secret that I use is placing the B at your belly button so that you're central with your core. The next thing I look at is the monitor position. With good posture, Kim's ears are over her shoulders, over her hips. She should be looking straight at the top quarter of her screen. In some cases, raising the monitor to the maximum height might not be enough. In those cases, a monitor riser is a good option. Monitor risers can be purchased in 1-inch increments, and that way you can achieve the height that you need. You can see Kim is looking directly at the top quarter of her screen, and her eyes will do the roving up and down the document. The optimal position for the monitor is perpendicular to any window so that you're avoiding unnecessary glare. Additionally, you might need a task light to provide greater illumination. Another important element of the workstation is the mouse placement. It should be on the same plane with the keyboard. Here we have Kim with her shoulder neutral, her elbow is close to her core, and here's her mouse on the same plane with the keyboard. We're also looking for a nice flat wrist. We've all heard the term carpal tunnel syndrome. Well, we really do have a tunnel running through our wrist here. And through that, tendons and nerves pass through. We want to keep that open. I think of it like a garden hose where water is flowing. And if you kink that garden hose, the water pressure stops. It's the same with your wrist. So you want to keep your wrist flat and neutral and allow the circulation to pass through to your fingers. In some cases, we might need to add a gel rest to make sure that we're keeping that wrist nice and straight and that the circulation travels through to the fingers. The last thing I look at on a workstation is the work zone. Everything that you use most frequently during the workday should be in the immediate work zone so that you're not having excessive reaches, and this would include the telephone. If you find yourself doing simultaneous phone and computer work, a telephone headset's the way to go. Using the neck to cradle the receiver can cause strain to the neck and shoulders. Using a telephone headset, Kim's able to maintain her neutral posture and good ergonomic setup. We talked about repetitive keying and mouse use and the toll it can take on our body. For those of us that use computers all day long, regular breaks are essential. I recommend at least one micro break per hour. I'd like to share with you a set of stretches that you can use throughout the workday to rejuvenate your muscles. These stretches can be done in a sitting or a standing position. Let's start with our neck. We're going to hold our left ear to our left shoulder for 3 seconds. And now the right ear to the right shoulder for 3 seconds. Let's do 3 shoulder rolls back. And now forward. Kim's going to put her left arm across her body, drop the shoulder, and a slight tug. And now the right arm across the body, drop the shoulder, and tug slightly. She's going to put her arms in a reverse prayer position to open up the back shoulder blades, and reverse the hands. Now she'll open her hands and give her fingers and wrists a stretching rotation. Open and close the fingers. Take your right hand and pull the fingers back on your left hand, slight tug. And now fingers down. And let's do the other hand. Fingers up, fingers down. Put the hands to the small of the back and give yourself a slight stretch. Arch the back slightly, and you're finished. I hope these tips have been helpful. Be sure and use them in setting up your home computer and your work computer. Setting up with good ergonomic techniques is the key to preventing repetitive motion injury strains.